Our series, Off the Rails, Life After Toxic Train Wrecks, continues this morning. Yesterday, we introduced you to the people of Graniteville, South Carolina, who in 2005 experienced a train derailment and chlorine spill that left 9 people dead. A registered nurse shared that many still report negative health effects like difficulty breathing. Some were diagnosed with asthma and emphysema. Others suffer from anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder. The former fire chief says the disaster destroyed their way of life, and that destruction extends beyond their health and into their careers, as well as the value of their homes. Graniteville, South Carolina once sat upon the textile throne, holding the title of the largest in the South. Business drove the development of schools, churches, and houses. It created thousands of jobs, and for many, the American dream was within reach. Today, that dream is dead. Boarded windows and shattered glass decorate barren brick buildings lined with barbed wire fence. Rusted mailboxes welcome passersby to a downtown barely holding on.
All the mills was running beforehand, and now we got nothing. It's almost like a ghost town.
Josie Widener spent 19 years at the mill. Her husband, Clyde, spent 6.
I worked what they call a beamer, and what I did was I separated the yarn so they could put it on another warp to make the cloth. We made denim.
She says their jobs didn't move overseas. They weren't outsourced. They were stolen.
What happened to your life after the mill shut down?
It destroyed it. Nothing's been the same since.
Avondale Mills closed in July 2006, less than 2 years after the derailment. 1,500 people lost their jobs.
I wonder, what am I going to do now?
Clyde says his health quickly declined.
I have to use this 3 times a day. This once a day, and this twice a day.
He lives with COPD. Clyde admits that he smoked, but he says he was also caught in the middle of the chlorine spill.
I mean, it just caught me up, hard to breathe.
Faith is one of the few things people have left to hold on to. Louisiana Wright Sanders is a minister at Bethlehem Baptist Church. She helped establish the Graniteville Recovery and Chlorine Epidemiology Study Center, GRACE for short.
At that clinic, we tested the mill workers, the capacity of their lung breathing.
The study concluded mill workers faced reductions in lung function immediately after the incident, and the number of mill workers experiencing a decline significantly increased during the 18 months immediately after the chlorine disaster.
How did that make you feel?
That made me feel pretty bad because all of my siblings live here, right at a stone's throw from that railroad. And we have since lost, one of our brothers. And even though it was years later that he passed, he suffered with cancer in his sinuses and for 20 years.
Do you think that the train derailment had something to do with that?
I'm not a doctor, so I don't know if it caused it, but I think the side effects may have increased the condition.
Now, it seems to me like you tried to do everything that you could.
Yes.
Do you feel like it was enough?
No.
Jobs and health weren't the only things in decline. So were property values. According to county records, through at least 2015, the Graniteville area experienced some of the lowest property values in the county. That year, the average property value throughout District 6, which Phil Napier now represents, sat $51,000 below the county average. Gail P. Toole is the vice president of a local real estate company.
Well, it was null and void. There wasn't anything going on down there. You certainly couldn't sell the homes because you didn't know what kind of damage was done. And nobody wanted to move down there because they didn't know what repercussions were going to, happen with all the chemicals and stuff. So, I mean, as far as the Graniteville area, it just went stalemate.
But signs along the road point to the potential for growth. Fort Gordon, soon to be renamed Fort Eisenhower, sits just across the border in Georgia. It is home to the United States Army Cyber Command and the Cyber Center of Excellence.
And so that's why it's growing. So everybody doesn't want to live in Augusta, so they're coming this way.
However, those signs point you just outside of the downtown.
Do you feel like Graniteville will ever fully recover from what had happened?
Not the immediate area. None of that seems to be filtering down into the immediate area where the train disaster happened, and it probably won't.
Now, we mentioned Avondale Mills closed less than 2 years after the derailment. Newspaper reports say it would later settle with its insurance company for at least $215 million and the railroad for at least $110 million. One editorial reads, "The fat cats have played their legal games over the past 3 years, but the victims of the Graniteville train wreck remain all but forgotten." Avondale ownership will wind up with a significant amount of cash. Money-rich Norfolk Southern will mark this down on its books as part of the cost of doing business. And insurance company Factory Mutual will make right with its stockholders. Now, the people we spoke with say they were left to fend for themselves. And when they see what happened here, they say they hope the people of East Palestine fight for everything they can, because they say it didn't take long before they were forgotten. Sophia?
All right, our series Off the Rails, Life After Toxic Train Wrecks continues all this week. Chuck will bring us a third story tomorrow. And tonight, we revisit the people of Paulsboro, New Jersey to see how they are still coping with the hazardous train derailment in their town more than a decade later.
I really felt that they didn't care about us. Well, give them some money, offer them some money, that'll take us off the hook.
The railroad offered payouts to neighbors. Some took the money, others chose to sue. Either way, resentment toward Conrail lingers for many. Our Michaela Marshall is back tonight to explain why and introduce us to some who are still feeling health effects of the vinyl chloride spill. Again, that's our series Off the Rails, Life After Toxic Train Wrecks, only on Spectrum News 1 and the Spectrum News app.